Hi, I'm Ray. I'm here with John and Ben, and we're here to discuss the heroic artifacts tier list on behalf of Nerd Check. Um, that's all I got for an intro, so we might as well begin.
Just get into it.
That's right. Screw that music shit.
Well, music shit will eventually come, but there's no money in this, so
That's true.
Sounds like the rest of my life.
that's true. And there's only so many shitty situations I can deal with in a day. So, speaking of shitty situations, I don't think the heroic artifacts list has the same number of shitty artifacts as what are in the common one.
No, well, they're also a lot cheaper as well, so they're a little easier to maintain. Like you don't have anything with 50 bloody points.
No. But you do have something with 40, and I think the 40-point one is actually worth 40 points.
It's one of the
Well,
better ones, yeah.
yeah.
So we're actually going to begin at the opposite end of 5 points with the Eli Periscope, increasing your height by 1 when drawing line of sight.
All right. Well, I use this thing all the time. Constantly. I do. Yeah. I
So
do.
it's absolutely useful.
No, this is a B. This is definitely a B. It's no bigger than a B. I use it a lot because, well, playing Trident Realms and a lot of Trident Realms. Barkshin. There's nothing better than being able to stand behind a unit and go, I can see over this height 2 shit to the Tide Swarms in front of me or whatever else I need to get to. And it works every time. I don't have to worry about my Aquamage getting hit by anything weird, and she can see anything she wants.
So
So
that's
yeah,
more of a specific sounding plan than
okay. Used it with people with bows. I've used it with people with crossbows.
who have you used it with a crossbow? Who had a crossbow that you used it with?
The stalker.
Has a crossbow now?
Yeah.
The stalker's always had a crossbow.
All
He's
right.
got shooting before, man. I normally put the scythe on him, but again, it's something you can sit something behind, even a lightning bolt, a heal, a something. I find it a useful item. But that's just me.
I'd give it situational at best.
Look, we've already established that you two are the real players, and I'm the guy who can barely get by. So
I think it might be at the low end of useful, high end of situational. Because I've definitely seen it used in other people's armies, mostly for wizards.
I'll
Uh,
concede to a situational sort of thing, but it definitely has a place.
Absolutely. But speaking of having a place, gnome glass shield.
See, a lot of people are going to be high on this thing, and I'm not as high as I used to be on it. I used to use it all the time, and recently I found that sometimes there's just better items to put on people.
Same
Well,
for
to
me.
begin with, it's not useful on anything that has a defense higher than 4.
Right. And really, a defensive 3, you're only getting the benefit for 1 turn. So, like, you must have something that's defense 4 with the regen. I wonder what faction that goes in, and I use it. I use it for them, but everything else I haven't found a decent use for. Like, I don't put it in elves. I've never put it in abyssal dwarves. Abyssals. People have used it in abyssals
Succubi.
on the yeah, on the succubi, but do you see it anywhere else? Like I'm trying to think of the +2 that it's made a difference on. Like John may
I've
or
seen
may
it
not
I've seen it used on a berserker on Brock before, which
really.
is
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah. Because then he's a defense 6 jackass that can just ride in and hold somebody up fairly steadily for a good turn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. Anything you can get a decent shot out of. Lower end of useful, maybe.
I'd
Not
probably
something
put
I
it.
would grab the entire time
I think you got a plan for that one. I think that one, because you're planning specifically around jacking somebody up to defense 6 usually,
for a
and then
turn.
he's got a set it and forget it missile mission usually to go pin down something important and hopefully buy some time.
Well,
I,
again, the stalker with regen and def 4 goes in.
I used
Takes.
to use it on my Thule Mythicin all the time because
I
when I
ended up,
was 6,
yeah, I ended up putting the conjure staff on him because casting the spell was more important than keeping him alive. Like you can normally, butt him up against something to try and keep him alive.
now, if we're saying it's situational, I think it's actually more useful than the periscope.
Okay, I would agree with that. But yeah, like both of these things I use in my favorite army.
I've never taken the periscope, believe it or not, but I've taken the glass shield many a time.
I think I would use the periscope again on something with something with a shot that would matter, like a lightning bolt that you're on a really fragile, like an elf or something like that. I could see that, but yeah.
Okay. So everyone's agreeing that these are not bad items, I guess.
No, they're not terrible. They're just, I don't know. I've never used either.
Interesting. So we have Amulet of the Fireheart. I've never used this one, having to cast 2 spells in 1 turn.
I have Bane Chant and Heal. Use it in Northern Alliance. Use it in Elves. I like that 1 turn of being able to do both things.
And I've used it. I've seen it used against me in Forces of Natures, where I've most commonly seen it with.
Yeah, that's where I've most commonly seen it as well.
Which is weird because isn't it even the whole thing of Force of Nature being able to cast something on an elemental and then just being able to cast another spell?
No, only the one druid, the Glade Walker, can do that. The regular one can't. But then you can give him this, and then you get 2 guys that can go to different areas and do it.
So I would say it's probably useful. Again, this is 10 points. Like Gnome Glass Shield's 10 points. This one's 10 points. They're all useful.
Yeah, but you don't see it used in every army. You don't see it used that often either, really.
This is a situational thing, if you ask
I think
me.
so, yeah.
I do like it. I do like the and again, small amount of points where you have the ability to make something that little bit better.
And I could definitely see using this in a Ratkin army with a Warlock doing Bane Chant 3 and Lightning Bolt 5 in 1 turn.
Or even Bane Chant and Alchemist Curse would be a great thing to not tell any rat players about ever.
No, we don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about rats.
Now we have one that we have strong disagreements on, which is the Torque of Dissonance.
I love this thing. I'm that guy. I'm sorry. I've used it against Force of Nature all the time. 12 inches of you can't use that spell. Now I'm not being able to heal for a turn. Great. Absolutely great. I know you. I know.
John, have you ever used this one?
Nope.
Neither have I.
Oh, no, I did once when it first came out, and it was a giant pain in the ass to get close enough to the spellcaster to actually do it. So I just killed the spellcaster.
You see, when you go with that.
I mean, can't cast a spell if you're dead.
Well, pretty much, yeah. Again, I've used it in a couple of armies. I do find it useful. I prefer this over the Trickster's Wand. I'm not a fan of the Trickster's Wand. I know the Americans think I'm morons, whatever. I'm not a fan.
The most hilarious use I've seen of the Torque was against the Rifordork Shrine. Was a combat turn that someone had lined up, and somebody went, I'm going to take away your Bane Chant.
Bane Chant, yeah.
And all of a sudden, the whole battle line just kind of fell apart. Didn't really do what it was supposed to, didn't punch through. The game took a weird swing. So, I mean, it's got a place if it comes up. But if it doesn't come up,
it has a place if you have a plan.
I think you're right.
I think that's the first one. Yep.
Yeah. I think if you have a plan, sure. I always have a plan, though.
Now,
unlike the A-team.
The next one is the Conjurer's Staff.
It's a household staple. I mean, It's useful. I think we've all used it at least once.
This one's probably more towards the absolutely of all the lists because it turns up in almost every list.
You know, in
Almost. I
every
mean,
list I want it. So I would agree. If you have a caster, this is this 10-point item that you can absolutely put on anything.
Yep.
Like clearly has to be a caster, but if you have a caster, this is
look, you can put it on a combat hero if you want. It's not going to do anything for you, but you could. I mean, if you just feel naked without not having it, you could always just
Just
put
his
it on.
walking stick. It's fine.
It's just a walking stick. Thank you. It's a Christopher walking stick.
okay. I don't think there's much disagreement on the absolutely for conjurer staff. So
No, that thing, it will always have a place.
should it be 15 points? Actually, question.
No,
No,
it'll
it's
never
fine
get taken at
10 points.
15.
Would it still be taken at 15? Sure.
No.
Would it be taken less? I
Way
think it
less.
still would. A lot less,
Significantly
but
less.
it would still be taken.
If I can get 15 points out of it, I'd rather get one of the other items that are coming up.
So next we have Wingbane Cloak. The unit gains ensnare when fighting against flying units.
Well, I play against John, and I play with ensnare, and I like having ensnare on things, but this is a completely you had a plan. Absolutely, it is something that you when you play against people that have a lot of flying, and we don't see flying enough, and at some points too often, depending on if the man has a mustache or not. So yes, I've taken it in specific armies to play against specific people.
Okay, but have you taken it for a tournament game, or have you only taken it for fun games?
No, I took it. I actually had it in my elf army because the tournament I actually won with the elves. It was in the army.
So I saw it used for the first time in a tournament this past weekend where Marcelo used it on his unicorn in an Order of the Green Lady list.
Really?
And I wasn't necessarily a fan. He used it so if he engaged a flyer, they would be
-1 to hit when they fight back.
Yeah, but
so wouldn't
that
it
seems
be
very you had a plan?
Yeah.
I think I might even rate it below Torque.
I would agree. Yeah.
This is a again. This is me going to play John, and I'm sticking in an army to play John.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, the Torque you can probably find a use in almost every game. This is very, very edge case specific. I think
even if unless your meta is nothing but everybody's taking 2 to 3 flyers.
And even then, I'd probably want to see more than 3 flyers. And what unit do you put it on? Like,
you put it on a guy with a horse. Period. End of story. There's nobody else to put this thing on. It's got to be something that can get in. It's going after a flyer, so it's got to be. You got to go in with something that is, that you're going to be able to actually hunt down.
And even then, thinking about it, for 10 points on a unicorn, would I prefer to give him this or Meat of Madness? So my unicorn
can charge first.
Can charge first with 21 inches.
Yeah.
So, okay. Dark Lord's Onyx Ring. Regeneration 4-up.
I want this to be good. I really
only
do.
once per game.
Yeah, it's once per game now. It used to be you got regen 6, which was tolerable, but now it's just a weird garbage piece of jewelry.
The biggest problem we're going to have with these items is ones like this are individual only, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. The Wingbane Cloak, I might actually take it on, I don't know, an Ogre Palace card if I could, but I don't think you can. I think it has to be like this.
No, this is only like individuals or large infantry individuals or cav.
Right. So what, like, this doesn't, if I could take it on.
It doesn't go on anybody who survives.
But that's just it. Like, why not make the survivable more survivable? I don't see why I think we have to have a separate conversation after all of this about the, whether or not we need to put the individual rule on these things, because it just seems like it stops a lot of interesting play. As we get further along, there'll be other things I'll be like, why can't we take this on an individual? Like this on a palace card or on something that was.
Well, the Wingbane Cloak giving you ensnare if they allowed that for a unit, if the unit fights,
No, not a unit. What about just still make it heroic? Still has to be a hero of some sort, but the base size doesn't matter.
Ben's thinking like a bully or like
Yeah,
the Exemplar and the Brotherhood on the Exemplar on Forsaken whatever Pegasus rider.
a centurion on a worm rider.
yeah.
I know he wouldn't take it for that sort of thing, but you get the
No, but
idea.
actually you could, because I was like, then if I'm putting him out there as bait, then he's ensnare against the flyers.
But
That's fine.
but you can't because once you get by base size 25 mil, you can't use these things on there. That's what I'm saying is that there's a bunch of these items, much like the axe and the scythe. Wouldn't it be nice to have a guy with 5 attacks? Even on a little bit bigger. Can you imagine? See, I'm okay with this sort of stuff because I've been hit in the face so many times with the filth. I'm used to it.
I like the fact that no one's arguing about these items right now, which means they're probably in a good place. And like I'm looking at that Dark Lord ring, going, okay, the first time you get a wound, you get a 4+ regeneration save, like
which you might not get the wound back even. Like it's, I don't know, that's garbage.
But it's all the wounds. So if you go in like this, I see this on like a Vampire Lord or something. It's the old Van Karstein ring. So you take.
But you only get one try. You get one try.
So 5 to 8 wounds, and you get half of them back.
Don't the vampires have friggin' life leech anyways? So probably. And their defense 5, and like, no man, give them something better for 10 points.
I think this would be probably the first thing I'm looking at, saying if it disappeared, no one would miss it.
No, I don't think anyone uses it to start with. So yeah, no one would notice.
Never. But
well, let's go from that to something that I know people use, which is Axe of the Giant Slayer.
But this is like, can you imagine this on like a 40
dragon?
by 40
on
a dragon? Oh yes, please. It would fix dragons. It really would. I think dragons should have 12 attacks. I don't see why they can't have the extra 2 attacks. Like, yes. You're swinging your head the wrong way there, Ray.
Well, it's like Scud and Ratkin at 13 attacks. He's a nightmare.
He's fantastic. But think about it, you can finally take something that'd be like, okay, so I throw him into X. I just don't like the individual hamstring that we got on these.
Compared to the 5 points for Blade of Slashing, is the Axe Slayer or Scythe of the Harvester really that good?
Yes. Yeah. 3 times as good.
Yeah.
Potentially 3 times as good.
Okay.
Potentially more attacks is always better than re-rolling one you've already missed.
So I did have this conversation today where James was trying to get me to believe that the Crocodog reroll was better than taking Blade of Slashing.
So
you got to roll 3
rerolls.
So on this note, where do we rank the Axe Slayer? Is it useful? Absolutely.
It's useful. You have to have the right character for it, but it is one of the first items if I've got 15 points or I'm building a character, I usually look to fit that or the scythe in. We can do these both at the same time.
Yeah, we can do these at the same time. I take the scythe over the axe most times.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, see, I was taking the axe on my little wood elf hunter guy that was just picking off characters in the chaff like crazy.
Which is funny because I did it the other way around. I was taking him to do the same thing, but for smaller characters. Even though we have a lot of ogres and bigger things around here.
Yeah,
I found the one thing I was missing was being able to actually get in against more smaller infantry things. So they're kind of 1 and 1A. Right?
Yeah, it just depends on what flavor you want to build, just like the axe and the club for the giants. So
yeah, it's a preference.
So next up is Crown of the Wizard King, adding 6 inches to your spells that target friendly units.
I like it, but it's situational. You got to build around it. So I had built a Varangur list of all fallen units with a wizard with the crown, so he could bane chant them from far enough away and be able to keep up to all of them because they're way faster than a wizard is.
And you get the Force
Don't
of
see
nature
it as
guys
much
do
as
it.
the amulet giving you the 2 spells, though.
I don't see. I mean, I've only seen the amulet like once in actual, or maybe twice if Ben played it in actual game. And I've only used the crown a couple times in a couple builds. It's actually good in Forces of Nature too, to keep up with the air elemental formation.
And that's where I've seen both of those in the same list in Forces of Nature. You had the Glade Stalker Druid with the crown. You had the regular Druid with the Fire Heart.
Yep.
And it was a nasty combination.
So what you're saying is the situation is whether or not you're playing Force of Nature or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I really want the crown to be good. I just haven't found a decent use for it. I mean, if it was 6 inches on all spells, it's way undercosted. But a heal from 18 inches away might actually be a nice thing.
Well, next one is Talisman of Silence, giving you Mind Fog 2 for 15 points.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
I love Mind Fog. I've never used this, and I really like using Mind Fog, but I've never used it.
I think because they've added the heroic spells that you could take, and Mind Fog 2 is 10 points.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
You would have to put this on a combat character, which
you're only going to use it for a turn or maybe 2.
Yeah.
Like maybe early game and then late game if you can't reach something to fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the one spell everybody forgets is on the oh god, what are they called? Not the planar apparition, the other thing.
The Mind Screech?
Yes. It is on the Mind Screech.
Yeah, but it's Mind Fog 6.
Yeah, but it's still the one that everybody forgets is on there.
So
because you want a lightning bolt instead, or wind blast.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely. Do you have a plan? I'm not sure if
it's right at the back, right at the end.
I'm not sure if it's a good plan to take that, but you have a plan. Yeah.
I put it above the regeneration 4-up once.
Sure.
Whatever. Still not going to be
the Mournful Blade, which gives you Duelist.
Oh, well, no. You see, if I want Duelist, I'll take a character that's got it. Again, like just about every army has one of these characters that already has that built in, and it's probably cheaper than taking a guy plus this. So you take a guy with like what 5 attacks, and then he gets Duelist, or you take a guy with 5 attacks and then he gets Duelist. Only it costs more because you paid for the item.
John, have you ever taken this?
No.
The Stein does the same thing.
I agree with Ben. Like you got in Elves, if you're going to take somebody who's Duelist, you take the King, and he gets it from the cat.
Yeah.
In Northern Alliance, you take the Ice Blade, who gets it with the what's her upgrade? I think it might be a cat as well. Everybody gets a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, cats do nothing but Duelist.
Well, they just make you fight other people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Puss in Boots. That's what it is.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Now, next we have the Trickster.
Yeah, and it's cheaper. The saber-tooth cats are 10 points. Yeah.
So I think for the Mournful Blade, if they made that 10 points on something like a Ratkin War Chief, might make sense because you're crushing 1 to begin with, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. Duelist would give you 10 attacks. And I don't think Rat can have access to anyone with Duelist.
The Assassin?
That no one takes.
That no one takes.
Yeah.
The Scurrier Champion, or whatever the hell they want to call him. I'm 99.9% sure he has Duelist, but no one takes him.
Having played Ratkin, I am going to look this up because I've never taken it.
And we know that you play Ratkin. It just proves to me that no one takes this guy, except for who's that guy that used to be on Direct Misfire? There was a guy on there who loved taking these. He loved Assassin. He took 3 of them into one tournament or something dumb like that.
The Master Scurrier has Duelist.
Yeah. There you go. See?
You're crushing 1 and vicious. So
you have to be Australian to know the secret tech.
And he's melee 3. He looks legit. I don't know why you aren't taking him. He's only 95 points. 4 attacks. He's got a pistol. Man. It's piercing 1 on his pistol too.
Just
Ooh,
proving
buddy.
that the Australians know this game better than the rest of us.
Individual, scout, stealthy, vicious. He's actually not a terrible choice for a duelist if you want one.
He's actually pretty good, but nobody takes him.
The tyranny of better choices.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Trickster's Wand.
I
I've used
don't
this.
like this. I've got it in my army right now, and I hate it. I just don't like it. I know the meta is like, oh, this thing's amazing. I'm sure it has its place with the shrine and not the monolith. What's the other one?
What?
Something of souls. What's the
Captive Souls.
yeah,
Well of Souls?
the well of souls from abyssals or whatever, where it actually makes sense. Because doesn't the monolith like cast regardless? Like you can't stop it.
No, you still take.
No, it's still a spell.
You know, I actually like the Trickster's Wand, and I have used it before in multiple builds.
See, for me, I'm probably wrong, but I'm not liking it. I would rather have the torque and go for one turn. You can't do X instead of going. You have the choice of either moving or doing it. I'd rather take the choice away.
So you'd actually place it below the torque.
No, I'm just saying. For me, it's below the torque. I'm sure it's better than what I'm saying it is. It's useful to high situational, but how often do you guys use it?
I didn't know what it did.
Okay.
We're gonna find a common theme about a bunch of these items.
Well, your current army doesn't have items, so
I never play with a lot of items, and I found I have a rut where I just go to the same ones over and over again that are usually
Because they're
speed
good.
or fighting.
Yeah.
And the other ones I don't look at.
Well,
as we have said, or as I have said, you two are the better players, but at least I have variety in my life. Okay.
here's something I have never used: Wand of Borrowed Time, which is
Yeah, I just read that.
Yes. Just no.
Yeah.
Just no. I'm sorry. No. It
slightly,
makes no.
slightly above the 4+, but if it disappeared, no one would be sad.
All I want to know
I'd
is
put it below the ring. Like
when did regen hurt you, Ray? And where did it touch you? Please show us on the doll.
Like, I don't know, man. This wand just reads terribly. Like, I get you can
It
do
is
two things in one turn, but against
Yeah.
two different things, which usually you're trying to knock down one. Like, if I'm gonna burn two spells and then not be able to cast next turn, usually you're trying to like hone in on something and finish it off.
The Amulet
I
of the
guess you'd
Fire
use it
card
for
does
buff
this
spells?
so much better.
Like Lightning Bolt Bane Chant or
Yeah,
Bane.
but then you can't do anything next turn.
I know. I don't
that
like
feels.
Yeah.
But again,
Okay,
if
well
you're gonna
let's just not give this one the time that it
Yeah, it's icky. Let's move
the
on.
time that it borrowed, the time it took away from us right now.
Blade of the Beast Slayer.
I used to see this a lot more.
So did I. I probably should use it a lot more. At least you can take this on like on any hero. It's not set on just an individual.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes,
Is it individual
they all
only?
are. Individuals. Yeah, you can't take these on ogres.
Wait a minute.
That's this whole category, man. Isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, well then
Trickster
I can't
wants
read.
to be taken on anything.
I don't know. I don't use it, so. Can you take it on other stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. You can take
Oh,
it.
well,
on
that's
your-
better then.
So you can take you could use Blade of the Beast Slayer on something like a Worm Rider Centurion if you actually cared to.
So it could actually hit and maybe actually wound something.
Well, it'd be
How
Crush
dare you?
3 Thunderous 1 then.
You know what it's really good on, which I'm sure John's never seen it. See, this guy that we know, his name is Mike, and he plays a lot of dwarves. And he may or may not have taken it on his dwarf lord on a large beast all the goddamn time. I think
Oh, yeah,
may
you
have
just-
grown up
no,
in the same.
You
How?
just bait him and then flank that thing and murder it. It's totally fine. Nothing to worry about.
I think it's actually useful. I think it's 20
Yeah,
points.
I
I
think
do think it's useful. Yes.
Uh,
I wish I could find more uses for it. The Centurion thing would be nice. I think I might actually give that a run at some point.
Because then if
Well,
you're
if I
going
wasn't
into
taking the frog, which is so much better.
because if you're going into ogres, you'd be wounding anything on twos then.
how many attacks
No,
does a centurion get?
Only 5, but
well, inside that's 10.
that's true.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's not hitting siege breakers in the front as it should.
Yeah, but if he's getting into the flank of the siege breakers, they're already defense 5. So do you need to be crushing 4 to go into that?
Well,
They're
then
only
you'd be going from crushing 2, so 3s to 2s, but you're still you get 10 attacks on 2s, 3s and 2s.
If you, I thought they were crush 1, thunder 1, so they're already
Wounding
3s and
siege
3
breakers. Siege breakers are defense 5
in the
in the
flank.
side.
Yeah,
in the flank, so you'd be wounding on 3. So it'd be 3s and 3s compared to 3s and 2s.
No, but
Yeah.
you're crush one to start with the Centurion, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
with thunderous one.
So you'd be 3s and 3s normally, or 3s and 2s for a 20-point item.
But
But then
in the
you
front,
always-
you go from
In the front, you'd be 3s and 2s as well, because you'd be then crush 3, thunder 1. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Or
if you
you
put
take
your
a-
5 attack guy into the front of the siege breakers, that's usually fine for the ogre player. That's usually
No, the
probably
regen will save you
delightful.
for sure, and the defense 4. I mean, it will definitely save you without the ensnare because why would you have ensnare in a naiad?
Listen, man, he's riding a fast lizard. They don't have time to slow stuff down. Like,
Okay.
they're all about aerodynamics. Anyways, too much Trident Realms. Moving on.
Loot.
I think the loot's great. I think it's almost always used. It's probably the most commonly used item, I think.
Other than the blade of slashing, yeah, probably.
I think it's absolutely always a place for it in the list.
Yep.
Inspiring talisman.
Not as useful as it used to be. I mean,
Yeah, I disagree. I still
What-
use that thing more than most items.
Really?
Yeah. I play a lot of lists that I don't bring inspiring sources. So if I can jam a 20-point item onto something to make it inspiring, I'll
wait a
do it.
minute. What are you taking that doesn't take inspiring though? I mean, it's
Okay, so it's not that they don't have inspiring, it's that when I was playing elves, the inspiring dragon would immediately fuck off somewhere else on the field.
yeah.
And my archers are like, well, I guess we'll be fine. Whereas I would put it on the wizard, and the wizard would be like, don't worry, I got you. We're good.
Yeah, I guess undead use it a bunch because necromancers.
Yeah.
Actually, might be more useful than the Beast Slayer.
I
It's
mean-
probably more commonly taken.
If you're not there, you can't fight. So
Okay. Now we're going into the continuing with some high point items. Tome of Darkness, Surge 5. And it got decreased in this edition because if you already had Surge, you only get an additional 3 to your Surge.
Yeah.
yeah, they did that to all these tomes and fireball things, and which I'm not so sure they needed to do, but
I don't think you needed to do it to Surge. No one cared about an extra 5 inches from Surge.
I look, everybody cares
You-
about an extra 5 inches.
Yeah. You don't care about an extra 5?
Hey, just need to have a plan.
Again, my daughter may or may not be home, so I'm not going to say the
I mean-
joke I was about to.
You're right.
No,
Sorry.
the-
It's
the
only,
extra 5
a
inches matters.
potentially extra 5. Potentially. Depends on if you can show it.
Oh, it's great what you can do with Photoshop nowadays. Now, like extra anything is good. This is something that you're going to take in half the armies in the game now that have some sort of surge. Like
So
really, I would
400
rather.
armies.
Well, I would rather take this, like on a combat character, just to make sure you've got the options. Like I'm not always a big fan of just a wizard that I can make the fire move forward quicker. That being said, how many surge options do you have in salamanders? There's not a lot. There's one. There's a flame lord. That's about it.
I think it's highly situational. Almost, you have a plan. Like,
I agree, because
I need
first you have to
something
be
where you're
playing a
going to
surge
need it.
army.
Yeah. Well, and then on
So,
top of that, do you have enough surge in the army, and how do I make it better?
yeah. Or do you write Empire of Dust list like I do, and you're like, I don't have anybody who can cast Surge, so I guess I need to take this on somebody.
No one writes lists like you do, John. No one.
okay. On that note, we'll might as well do Zephyr Crown, which gives you Wind Blast 5, and if you already had Wind Blast, you gain Wind Blast 3.
Why the hell would you spend more points on Wind Blast than what you could buy with a guy that would just be able to pick it up? Why?
Duh, to win games.
I have won multiple games with Wind Blast, never because I took it because some idiot was wearing a crown.
Well, listen, my guys don't have crowns or Wind Blast, so maybe I have to buy them a crown that gives it to them.
And you're playing the wrong army. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I'm
Ector
going to
should
put
be
it
everywhere.
slightly higher than the Duelist one, but like still, you need to have a plan. Unless anyone's disagreeing, like I'm happy to change.
No, I'm not disagreeing at
We're
all.
just arguing for the sake of
Yeah,
arguing.
no.
Shroud of the Saint. Heal 3.
No, this
It's
has
fine.
had a plan. Yeah. Like I've used it from time to time to make my heal a little bit better, and I've used it on a standard bearer or two just to give them something to do while they're standing back there holding a flag while their ass blows in the wind.
Yeah, like you're pretty focused around a healing build to want to really bother with it. So,
But it's the same as the Surge one. Like if you focus on the Surge, then you have the Surge. If you're focused on the healing.
yeah, but healing, most armies have healers that could benefit from it, whereas only half the armies or a third of the armies can use Surge to start with. So,
And it's 25 points. So it's
it is
on the-
expensive.
Yeah, it is on the expensive side. Well, hasn't it even come down? Didn't it used to be 30?
Maybe. I was
Yeah.
busy looking up salamanders, and yeah, the fact that you can only get Surge on one thing in salamanders is, I mean, granted, they're not supposed to be building fire or elemental heavy, but they do.
But why wouldn't you?
Well, speaking of which.
Yeah, the Shroud of the Saint used to be 30 points.
Yeah. But it used to be heal 3 all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah, it used to be heal 3 and plus 3.
Yep.
So
the tome was 20 points before, but it was Surge 4 or increased by 4. So they just nerfed it.
Well,
it was obviously too good.
They changed it to Surge 5 or plus 3. Yeah, so they just made it weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, speaking of weird, Boomstick for 25 points for Lightning Bolt 3 or Lightning Bolt 2.
Not as good as it used to be. Like it's disappeared from our meta for sure. I can't think of anybody that's taking it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's somebody.
I haven't seen it in forever.
Yeah, one of the ones of people that may or may not listen to this is there might be one or two but going, no, it's amazing. Why wouldn't you take this thing? But it's nowhere close to what it used to be.
Hey, if it works for them, they should use it.
Yeah.
I used to use it with ogres all the time, but I haven't used it in a very long time now.
Well, now that ogres get crossbows with elite, why would you?
We can talk about that another episode.
Well, next one is Boots of Levitation.
Used to be hilarious on a dragon. Now I don't find it as funny.
And then, wait a minute, am I thinking of the right ones here? Which boots are these?
Move at the double. It used to be Elven Mages with Alchemist Curse.
It's these ones. So apparently you can't put you can't shoehorn a horse with magical shoes.
No.
Before you used to be able to put it on a dragon. So I would put it on a dragon, fly 20, pivot, and then breathe fire on stuff.
You did this to me so many goddamn times, and every single time I was like, I need to put that in the list, and every time forgot to do it.
And every time I played it, people would be like, okay, I got to be prepared for that trick. Because I would tell them what I was going to do. It'd be like, he can fly 20, and then he'll turn and breathe fire on something that's soft. Okay, I'll be fine. Then they're like, oh, you breathe fire on the soft stuff. I'm like, yeah, like magic.
Is it absolutely? I don't think it's an absolute.
Oh, God, no. Now you have to put it on an individual. You can't do anything as fun with it anymore.
It's crap now. Get rid of it.
Situational towards you had a plan.
Even further down, you had a plan. It's good on maybe 3 guys.
Still the Alchemist Curse Mage, but it's better if you just put him on a horse. So
Yeah, because you're still getting the pivot and you're getting the move, and it was so much better when you could move 18 inches. I didn't see a problem.
Yeah.
Because people just hunted them down and killed them anyway, so what was the problem?
Here's one I wish I saw more often. Boots of the Seven Leagues. Individuals only gain this scout special rule.
See,
I've
never seen anybody take these.
I have taken it.
When?
I have taken it on. I had an elven hero that was hunting characters.
So was he the one that you put in front of the unit that one time?
No, I didn't. Never put him in front of a unit. No. He was shy, so he would hide and pick off the weak individuals like the wizards.
I have never seen, and I've played you, but if you had it on somebody, I have no clue who the hell you.
Because I used to put it on a guy with a horse, and I don't think you can do that anymore.
No.
So all the cool things you used to be able to do.
Yes, you can.
Wait a minute, you can put these boots on a horse, but not the other boots?
It says individuals only, so. Whereas the other one is very clearly infantry and heavy infantry only.
Oh, see, I'm reading the old book, so I don't know.
Yeah, so
that's horses.
It's still not something I've seen.
No, you have to have a plan for it.
Yeah,
a very specific plan. Yeah,
and I guess the final one is Wings of the Honey Maze.
Which, if you're taking a guy with a horse, you might as well be taking the 5 extra points and putting this on him instead.
Well, you lose the point defense. So
don't care. Honestly, don't care. Even if you only use the fly move the one time in the beginning, all of a sudden you're in a spot on an individual where you can spin, do whatever the hell you want, and pick out who you want to.
I actually have used it. I like it, especially on your berserkers that have an extra D3 move, like in the Northern Alliance, or on orcs, or on anything with wild charge D3, because then you can get 23 inch charge.
I have not yet put it on a Mythican, but one day I will. Why not? It works on casters. It works on combat individuals. It works on anything you need it to work on. What is it? A Tomb King? Who's the Def 6 guy?
You give it to a Pharaoh or Dwarf Lord who's defense 6, and then they just go stop things.
Well, I mean, this is the mainstay. We used to have you'd have the Dwarf King that used to fly in and whack somebody once. The shooting once. Yeah. The evil last tells you as much as you need to know.
They're reducing it to the -1 defense because I don't think it had the -1 before.
It didn't. No.
But it was 50 points before, I think.
Yep, and it was worth every goddamn point. Now it's 35 for just about any horse. So if you're taking a horse, why the hell aren't you just going to movement 10?
No, so horses are 25 points.
Is it above the axe and scythe, or is it just in the useful category?
I think it's in the useful category because you're still kind of tailoring a character to carry it.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two just kind of make any character more beneficial for the army.
Yeah, the other problem is the point cost is on the high side. But it's worth it. So I want to move this guy fast. He needs to be able to move where I need him to want to go.
So I think at the end of the day, there's probably 4 or 5 items that we think could be dropped for the next edition.
Yeah,
no one would care, and I think Wand of Borrowed Time is the one none of us can think of.
No,
I've never seen it used in the game.
Emerald of the Fireheart does the exact same thing.
The Ring, the Mind Thirst 2 now, and the Wingbane Cloak and Duelist.
Yeah,
those can all go away.
Yeah.
Then you get into something like the Crown, which gives you the Wind Blast, which is okay, keep it. Just figure out whether or not it's going to be Wind Blast 5, Wind Blast 3, or just straight Wind Blast 4. I think for 20 points, I'd prefer it if they just said you get Wind Blast 4 or you add 4 to your Wind Blast. Because
Wind Blast doesn't do any damage either, so I think it's fine to have it be 4 instead
Oh,
of.
could you use that on Twilight Kin?
No, they changed that. It's much like the not Shakira. What was the wailing shadow? You'd
Banshees.
be able to take the upgrade and put this on it. So they changed it so you couldn't do that. Which, I mean, to whoever did that, good on you that you saw it. I mean, it's a great little, but it's those little extra things like why did we close a loophole, which was just fun. I mean, so what? So you got an extra like 2 wounds off of every shot. Big deal. Like I'm okay with these sorts of things.
Well, it would let you add 3 to your Wind Blast for a Summoner Crone in a Twilight Kin list.
Yeah, you totally can. It's letting me do it right now.
Which gives you 3 extra piercing 1 attacks.
Check. No, check Night Stalkers.
Yes, I know, but
I'm not
character
checking
that
Night Stalkers.
But there's a character that gets the upgrade, but you're no longer allowed to take the
right.
You
But
can take the item,
But that's because
you
you're
don't get
taking the upgrade. Whereas the Summoner Crone, you can just pick her spell.
right.
Pick
We
the
didn't
Zephyr
need to
Crown.
tell Twilight Kin players that there's even more shit that they get, because then
The
again, it's not
only-
weakness. So why?
Hang on,
why
let
would
me fix this here.
no, there's no negative to that.
Yeah, nope, you're good to go here. Yep, you can totally do that.
There's no negative weakness either, but you know.
So she's now Wind Blast 8.
And on that note,
Yeah.
this is Nerve Check saying, don't play Twilight Kin.
Have a good night.
Good night.